In today's video, we're going to go over 5 intercultural differences that you may experience when dating Latinas versus American women. So just a quick note, the US is a very diverse culture with people from all pockets of life, and that also extends to Latin America. As you travel more extensively through Latin America, you will notice that not all people look the same, nor do they speak the same, nor do they act the same, nor do they eat the same cuisine, etc. That being said, here are some basic general differences you will notice when dating Latin American women. Number 1, cultural background and values. You'll likely notice that Latinas place more of an emphasis on their family, their cultural, and their social connections. This means, as you start to progress in a new relationship, that you'll find that she wants to get you more involved with family activities, get you more embedded in her social group, and participate more in cultural activities. Whereas on the other hand, Americans in general, not just women, are typically more individualistic and expressive in communicating their individual nature. So a lot of times, myself included, you'll find that usually I'm just kind of a lone wolf. I'm out on my own. And women from the US culture often fall into these characteristics as well. Not necessarily a bad thing, just a cultural difference. 2, communication style. Latinos or Latinas in general are much more expressive and emotive in their communication. So things that guys don't necessarily understand when dating in Latin American cultures that may bother them are just a trademark of the culture. So for example, you often hear guys say, oh, Latinas have a fiery attitude, which yeah, they do, but that's usually if you're screwing up. That fiery attitude can also translate to a very loving and nurturing and feminine attitude when you're doing things right within the dating context. So keep this in mind. Number 3, gender roles. Again, going back to Americans being a little bit more individualistic and expressive in their individualism, this often translates to relationships being more mutually beneficial, or where both parties typically blur the gender roles and just kind of do what's necessary for the relationship. However, in the Latin American dating context, usually gender roles are much more pronounced. They're more demarked and they are more defined. So what does that mean? Well, don't be surprised if you're cleaning your house and all of a sudden your Latina is standing there with her arms crossed, really feeling like that she needs to be of use, or she just, without prompting by you, goes and starts cleaning the dishes, tidying up your living room, folding your clothes, or so on. I remember when I first came to Mexico years ago, this confused me. I'd tell my Latina girlfriend, hey, sit down on the couch, you're good. I'll take care of the dishes, or I'll clean the kitchen. Nope, give them tasks to do. Typically, they want to be made to feel useful. So if you're cooking, have her chop vegetables, have her do dishes behind you, or so on. Again, this is one that might be weird for a lot of guys at first, but if you want her to feel valued in the relationship, allow her the space to be a woman in the relationship.
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Joel, I'm Jaren's roommate. You may have seen me on the channel before. This was a big shock to me too when I came down. And it actually helped in the long term because it taught me to be more masculine. It taught me to lead more and to give more commands, which is something I was afraid to do. Because in the US, if you don't do it proper, you're gonna get either canceled or demonetized or you're gonna get made fun of. So you gotta be very careful in the US. I found here you can be much more assertive. And I think the big awakening for me on the differences between the genders was because of the language. So if you go to other countries like Poland, for example, I was there recently last year, Ukraine, any of these cultures where they speak to men and women with specific words. So as you guys are studying Jaren's language videos, you'll notice that you refer to women with a specific word and men with a specific word. Now, of course, you do it in the US too by saying like, okay, that's a guy, that's a girl. But it's a lot different with these languages because you completely change the word, just basic words too, if you're talking to a woman versus a man. And that, I think, instills the value that, okay, yes, I'm a man because you talk to me like this. She's a woman because you talk to her like that. So they're used to just being called either a man or a woman. It's a very gendered language. I think that's the best way to put it. It's not gender neutral like it is in the US. So as you guys might have known, if you call a woman, she might, punch you in the stomach. But here, that's what they're used to being referred to. So there's not all that weird confusion that's going on right now in the United States.
Moving on to point number 4, punctuality. You'll notice that in American or even more European cultures, or especially Asiatic cultures, people tend to be a little more punctual. In Spanish-speaking cultures, that is not the case. Nope. Now, although grammar gets really comprehensive in terms of defining different points in time, that doesn't extend to people actually showing up on time. This used to drive me absolutely nuts, but now that I've been down here so long, I've adopted more of the Mexican mindset of, hey, you know what, if you show up a bit late because you were dolling yourself up and looking 100% drop dead gorgeous for me, I'll take that as a compliment. Now you can try to get on people for the punctuality thing, but usually you're just gonna kind of waste your breath and they're gonna think you're weird. However, I have noticed when you're dating in the upper middle class or above, or people that are a little more highly educated, or the girl's just really head over heels into you, then all of a sudden the punctuality thing seems to be tightened up a little bit. You'll notice that they will show up on time. For a quick explanation on the time and punctuality differences, be sure to check out my ahora mismo versus ahorita video. You may be surprised. And that brings us to point number 5. There are differences in dating styles. So going back to point number 2, where Latins are a little more expressive in their overall day-to-day communications, this definitely extends to the dating context. So they use the word cursi in Mexico, which I suppose could be like cheesy in English. So mi amor, or overt gestures of attraction or romance. Spanish is a romance language, and in English we think of the sense of romantic, like loving type gestures, but in Spanish it literally means of or having to do with the romance. So anything the beautiful arts or poetry or expression or music, those are all fine within a dating context. For example, if I pull out a guitar and start singing to an American girl, they will literally post memes or TikTok videos making fun of guys who do that. In Latino cultures, the women absolutely love it. They're not playing on their phone, they're not screwing around. She'll literally sit upright and pay attention to you playing, or lay on her belly on your bed and have that glazed over love look in her eyes. This is a feature of the culture that I definitely appreciate. In terms of time when it comes to dating, they're often looking along a longer horizon in terms of where is this thing going? And she typically has goals for this thing leading to something longer term. Now, yes, hookups are still plentiful in Mexico or other Spanish-speaking cultures, but it's not as marked as a feature of the culture as it is in the US, where, hey, you can literally meet a girl, just, hey, you're hot, I'm hot, all right, cool, let's go. And a casual fling can occur with relative ease. In Latin cultures, again, yes, you can have a casual type thing, but usually once she hooks up with you, she wants to know that maybe there's something more coming down the line. So keep this in mind when you are dating in the intercultural context. Now, if you do want help with intercultural dating, learning Spanish, getting settled into Mexico, setting up your residency, banking systems, etc., be sure to take advantage of my introductory call in the link below, where we'll start mapping out a series of steps for you to take to start living and loving your Spanish-speaking lifestyle.
Yeah, guys, and if you didn't know, I had booked Jaron for a call. That's how we initially met. So I can vouch that he has definitely helped me start to live here and have a great life in Mexico. When I booked him for that initial call, I never knew I would be actually living down here, having a great dating life, making money online, and Jaron has been a huge help for all of that. So definitely take advantage of this introductory call, and he will help get you on the right track to start living in Mexico. And who knows, maybe we'll all hang out one day when you come down for a visit.